The Globe and Mail published this column in February 2022. The title: "It's time to end the sedition by enforcing the law and following the money." It says, people have been terrorized for over a week. Seditionists and terrorists. Who is the author talking about? February 2022. Yes, of course, the truckers. No violence, no weapons, no assaults, no storming of Parliament. Peaceful protest. Road hockey. Dancing in the snow. Unkind words about the government. Seditionists and terrorists. Who is the author of this column? Can you guess? One Mark Carney, now the Prime Minister. In Canada, who does the government fear? It's not foreign powers peddling influence. It's not organized crime. It's not hundreds of thousands of undocumented aliens in our midst. It's not violent criminals who get bail and light sentences and early release. It's not arsonists burning down churches. Who does the Canadian government fear? Isn't it obvious? The Canadian government fears Canadian citizens. And especially the ones who, above all else, want to be left alone. The greatest threat to the liberty, security, privacy, and prosperity of Canadian citizens is the Canadian government. Now, what has Canada turned into? We now have a managed society. It is planned and directed. It is progressive and socialist. And it is pathologically self-destructive. The people are directed, influenced, regulated, supervised, controlled, tracked, and surveilled. They are told what kind of cars to drive, how to carry their groceries, what medications they must take, how to speak, what to think, who to hire, taxed at work, at the store, at the pump, and then at home. The state dominates society. And society is becoming a product of the state. It has the people under its thumb. But not just in Canada. In the UK, people are being sent to prison for their social media posts. And not just for a couple of days. In Germany, Ireland, Australia, France, and across the Western world, governments are tightening the screws on their own people. Why are they doing this? Here is the technical, legal answer. Because they can. I'm not being facetious. They do this because they can. They do this because there is nothing to stop them. But what about the Constitution, you might say? What about the Charter? What about rights? Our Constitution is not what you may think that it is. Our Constitution does not restrict the state. Now, when I say the state, I mean all the bits of the state together. I mean the legislature, I mean the government, I mean the bureaucrats, and yes, I even mean the courts. Because together, these institutions are the state. If those institutions cooperate, there is literally nothing that the state cannot do. Constitutions notwithstanding. Now, you will hear people say this. They will say things like, our leaders should honor the Constitution. Honor the Constitution. Our government should honor the Constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a waste of breath. If governments were honorable, we wouldn't need a constitution. We could have philosopher kings instead of governments. Our professional ruling class loves to control the people, but it will not control itself. The whole reason for having a constitution is to control those who rule over us. But here's the thing, constitutions don't do this, at least the way they are written. So, a constitution that works only when people honor it is a house of straw. Constitutions, if they are to do their job, must be impossible to dishonor. So, what can we do? Step one. First, we need an independent Alberta. And then step two, that new country needs to adopt a different kind of constitution. Here are its first features. Number one, we are going to, what I like to call, flip the default. Here's how our present Constitution works. Here is its architecture. Our Canadian Constitution, like the rest of them, does this. It says, the state has unlimited power. It has the power to do anything. It has the power to look out for the general welfare, the public interest, the common good, for the peace, order, and good government of Canada. That is unlimited power. And then, what it tries to do is make exceptions to that unlimited grant of power. All powerful, except. What are the exceptions? Well, that's why we have a Charter of Rights. The government can do anything except, well, shouldn't infringe your freedom of speech. All powerful, except. That's the default. The default is all powerful. We are going to flip the default. Instead, we are going to have a state that is powerless. It has no power to do anything except. And we are going to make some exceptions. Some specific things in the Constitution that the state is there to do. And because there are some things we want the state to do. That's the reason for having one. So, for example, no power except keep the peace, except resolve disputes, and except protect the country from the outside. So police and courts, a military, some borders, list these things as the exceptions to the general default rule that the state can do nothing. And if you do it that way, here's what you don't need in your Constitution, which is a Charter of Rights. You don't need rights because the state is powerless. You're already guaranteed your autonomy because the state is toothless, which leads me to feature number 2. So in Alberta, we want to be a free country. Question: what is that? When you say you want to be free, I mean, thank God for that. But free is a big word. What do you mean? And what I think free means is that you are not subject to the coercion of anybody else. That is, you are not subject to their force or threats of force to do things that you do not want to do. And therefore, for you to be free, your neighbors cannot use force against you or threaten to do so. And likewise for you, so that you are all free, the use of force must be prohibited. And not just for you and me, but also for the state. Now, just note the implication. If there is a rule that says nobody, including the state, can use force, then here's one of the things that the state cannot do. It cannot create any other laws that are not about the use of force. So there's not going to be a policy about very much. Here are the kinds of things that the state will not be able to do. This is just a taste, because the list is infinite. But it can't expropriate property. It can't collect taxes. It can't create institutions. It can't run a government-funded, single-payer public health care system. It can't prohibit discrimination in your private life. It can't create monopolies. It can't issue currency. It can't run a central bank. It can't restrict people to their homes. It can't restrict firearms unless you've used it to commit a crime. And so on and so on and so forth. All kinds of laws and regulations and policies and guidelines and directives that exist today will be unconstitutional because the state has no power and cannot use force. Third, so we have flip the default, no force. Here's number 3. Constitutions, all of them, at least all the written ones. Did you know that there are some unwritten constitutions? The UK has a largely unwritten constitution. And nobody really knows what it says. Even the written constitutions have an Achilles heel, all of them. And that is, they are written in words. And words contain inherent ambiguities. So as hard as you try, and as carefully as you draft, you cannot nail everything down. And the institution with the power to decide what the words mean are the courts. And in Canada, we have a Supreme Court that has taken our Constitution and our Charter and interpreted it in a way, in many situations, that you might think was, well, let's just say, not quite what you might have been expecting. So, feature 3, you disempower the courts to change the meaning of your Constitution. Now, how do you do that? I'm not going to go into detail, but you arrange a judicial system where you don't have the equivalent of a star chamber. Very short tenure for judges in a system, believe it or not, without precedent. Because precedent is one of the tools that the highest court uses to insist upon having its way. So I'm going to park that one and go on to the last one I want to talk to you about, which is this. If you have a state, even a limited state, even one with limited powers, that state is going to be run by a special class of people. That's one of the problems we have today. We have a professional ruling class. Career politicians, tenured judges, untouchable bureaucrats, petty functionaries at every level of government. I'm not just talking about the federal government. I'm talking about every single layer of government to which you are subject. Over time, these people create powerful institutions. Here's the way to defeat a professional ruling class. Don't have one. And here's how you do that. Term limits, but not just term limits. I mean this. You have in your Constitution a provision that says this: every person who serves the state in any capacity, politician, judge, bureaucrat, employee, consultant, supplier, can do so for a maximum of 6 years over their lifetime cumulatively. If you serve as a politician for 6 years, great, thank you. Now you're done. You can't be a judge, you can't be a bureaucrat, you can't be an ambassador, you can't be anything. You're done. What do you get? You get an amateur public service. No careers, no fortunes. You do not have a professional ruling class. Let me end with this. Alberta. To go where you have never gone, you must do what you have never done. Be brave. Be open-minded. Under most constitutions, the people who rule under us do not honor the limits because they don't have to. But perhaps things will be different in a new and independent Alberta. Thank you very much.